All right, let's get started here. I ask Allah Ta'ala to make this easy for me and for you. I'm going to try to just stick to the text, inshallah, so I won't go into a lot of details about this marriage contract right here in particular. Because the author says a marriage contract requires even more cautiousness or caution, even more caution and certainty, because safeguarding one's marriage takes precedence over other contracts for fear of what will result in the absence of its conditions and integrals, such as the nullification of the contract. Consequently, such as the nullification of the contract, consequently leading to many obvious unlawful repercussions. Meaning, if your marriage contract is invalid, then you're going to be having unlawful relations, and then your children are going to be born out of wedlocks. This is very, very bad situation. So it's very, very important here that a person make sure that the marriage contract is valid. Some people don't have a big care about that. Some people, they just care that it's that they can say I did a marriage contract. They don't care if it's valid or it's not valid. But I'm just going to stick to the words here. The Shaykh did not go into the marriage contract in the Summary of Obligatory Knowledge. And so also here in this explanation, Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy, the original Arabic text, in this translation, Lucid Word, and also in the other one, clear statement, they didn't go into the marriage contract. But in the Bughya, Shaykh's explanation, his own explanation of the Summary of Obligatory Knowledge, he went into great detail about marriage contract and all sorts of things that I never even heard before. Lots and lots and lots of things. I ask Allah to enable us to go over that together. Amin. With proper transmission. Amin. So I'm just going to stick to the words here. I'm not going to go into the marriage contract. The noble Quran refers to all of this in the verse in Surah At-Tahrim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara waquduha an-nas wal hijara. This means, O you who believe, protect yourselves, guard yourselves and your families from hellfire, yani from a fire, which is fueled by people and stones. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, all those who have believed, qu anfusakum, guard yourselves, protect yourselves, wa ahlikum, and your family from nara, a fire. This is indefinite. It is hellfire though, it's not wrong, but if you wanted to be translating it literally, you'd say from a fire. وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Its fuel, a fire, its fuel, the fuel of this fire is people and stones. And for stones to be part of the fuel of this fire means very powerful fire. The stones, yani, is too hard to be fuel for fire in this life. In this life, the fire burns the wood and some other combustible materials, not stones. Protection from hellfire was interpreted. Sorry, I forgot here. This is the text up top. This is the explanation down here. So just to remind you, if somebody wants to work on this book here and keep the text up top, this Lucid Word one here, it has the text up top and then the explanation down bottom. I suggest to give this text a different font or a different color, because looks like here when you just turn the page, here it says page 156. When you turn the page, now you're on page 157. Looks like from the top of the page you're just continuing. So there should be something that makes it more distinguishable. Every time when I go through this book and I skip all this up the top because I'm reading the explanation down bottom, it's because I remember to skip it. It's not because I have any visual clue or visual cue. Now I didn't remember, so I was reading it. But maybe because also I'm looking at it on the screen. It's not the same as looking at the book in front of me. It has a different view. Our master Ali, may Allah honor him, said, "Teach goodness to yourselves and your families." He said this is the meaning of the ayah. This is the way to implement the command in the ayah. Protect your families. That's a command. So how do you do it? Ali said, teach goodness to yourselves and your families. This is done by learning religious knowledge and teaching it to one's family. Protection from hellfire was interpreted by learning, I'd say, as, was interpreted as learning how to pray and fast, how to sell and buy, and how to marry and divorce. It's not limited to those. When you say it this way, it gives you an idea. Say, how to pray and fast, because that means also zakat and hajj and wudu, all of that's included. How to sell and buy, that means also how to rent and how to do other deals, and how to marry and how to divorce and other things. Yani inheritance, for example. So to learn the matters of your religion, and then to implement that, of course. That's how you protect yourself and your family from hell. Subhanallah. It is said that who's the one, or who are those who least benefit from a scholar? The people who benefit least from a scholar are his family. I remind myself and I remind you. Yani, ironically, it's his family. This interpretation is derived from some of Al-Qawl's commentary. So if you did have, let's say, a scholar in your family or a Shaykh in your family, for example, or something, so take advantage and ask. That's a good thing. Anyway, the one who wants knowledge should ask. That's what the hadith says. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم. Seeking the knowledge, that means you go and ask for it. هكذا. And it was reported about Imam Malik that when some rulers, let's say, demanded his attendance, or basically, even if demand is too strong, when some rulers wanted Malik to come to them to teach them, he said, no, we, the scholars, we don't go to anybody to teach them. They come to us. Of course, don't be stiff there in interpreting his statement, but there's a lesson there. So then if you need the knowledge, make sure, or if you want the knowledge, make sure you ask. It's important. Section 26, shedding light on the rulings pertaining to riba, usury. I'm not sure why they don't want to translate riba as usury. Even in clear statement, they're not translating riba as usury. But here there's a transliteration or transcription inconsistency. Riba here, underline the A. Riba here with two A's. Two different transliteration systems. هو قال العلم يؤتى له لأجل هذا حتى تتضح لمن يسمع. Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you. The brother, he's telling me what's the text of Malik here in Arabic so I can say it better. He said, not that they come to us, but that he said, the knowledge is sought. It's not that knowledge come to you, you go to the knowledge. Barakallahu feek. So either I remembered it wrong or I saw it another way. So section 26, shedding light on the rulings pertaining to riba, usury. I'm going to say usury. Riba is prohibited. Major sin. Some said fourth major sin after zina. First is kufr, then murder, then zina, then riba. Zina and then riba. Don't you know the kuffar? They had a television show. I think it's CW. They had a television show called Riba. It was about a woman. And they had another one called Zina. It's also about a woman, warrior princess. Riba and Zina. Wal-iyadu billahi ta'ala. It is forbidden to do a contract involving riba, usury, to consume its product, i.e., to benefit from and utilize the item acquired through riba, or to take it, or to document it, i.e., to draw up a riba contract, and to be a witness to it, i.e., to the riba contract. I think all that's clear. It means you can't have anything to do with it. Riba is comprised of several types. Yani, there are several kinds of riba, such as usury, riba al-qarb. So that's why they're not translating riba as usury, because they're seeing that usury only works in one instance, which is the riba of the loan. They didn't translate it though here. It needs to be translated. Riba al-qarb, that means the riba of the loan. What's meant here is interest. Interest on a loan. Here, you could even put the word interest. I want to look up this word usury real quick, see what we get. This is American Dictionary of English Language. Supposed to be from 1828. I like to look in old sources. It says, formerly interest. A premium paid or stipulated to be paid for the use of money. Interesting. That's what the banks do. The banks want to use your money. Here, as if it means for a loan. It says usury formally denoted any legal interest, which is impossible. Interest is haram. That's what the kuffar said, legal interest is haram. But in this sense, the word is no longer in use. So usury with the meaning of interest. In present usage, illegal interest, a premium or compensation paid or stipulated to be paid for the use of money borrowed or retained beyond the rate of interest established by law. The practice of taking interest, usury. So, interest. Usury is interest. Let's look up interest real quick. Here, number 4. Premium paid for the use of money. The profit percent derived from money lent or property used by another person. Yani, that's basically a fine right there. Or from debts remaining unpaid. Commercial states have a legal rate of interest. Debts on book bear an interest after the expiration of the credit. All right. Any surplus or advantage, interest, then you can use riba. Because what does riba mean? You can use usury for or interest for riba. What does riba mean? Riba means ziyada, extra. Surplus means surplus. I'm going to say surplus. That's what it means linguistically. Riba means linguistically ziyada, surplus. So then, according to that, we're going to say that it's possible to have interest in loans and interest in sales. So right here, riba is comprised of several types of usury. That means here interest, or several types, comma, such as usury, which is interest. Yani, it is, riba is interest. Among the various types of riba is trading one of the two precious metals here. One of the two precious metals, which are bullion, i.e. gold and silver. So all of that gold and silver, we have one word we can use, which is bullion. In Arabic, the word is naqd, nun qaf dal, N-A-Q-D, naqd, bullion. Here means gold and silver. Maybe the word bullion can mean something else sometimes, but it's going to mean gold and silver very clearly in the way we're using it. So, among the various types of interest is trading bullion for bullion. One of the two precious metals, gold and silver, for the other. So, bullion for bullion. And that means then gold for gold or silver for silver, or gold for silver, or silver for gold, on a deferred payment. All right. So I'm just looking here to see. So let me read it as it is. It says, among the various types of riba is trading one of the two precious metals, i.e. gold and silver, for the other on a deferred payment, i.e. to postpone payment, even for a short period. This is known as riba nasa. Yeah. For example, one would say to another, I will sell you this gold dinar for 10 silver dirhams on the condition that I deliver it to you in an hour. So something's missing here. Riba nasa is trading one of the two precious metals, i.e. gold and silver, for the other with the condition of a deferred payment. That's something else. With the condition of a deferred payment. Now I want to see what's in Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy Arabic text. See if it's missing or they miss it in the translation. وقد يحصل الربا في مختلفي الجنس من النقد. يحصل في متحدي الجنس. وكما عفوا وكما يحصل الربا في مختلفي الجنس من النقد يحصل في متحدي الجنس، كما أشار إلى ذلك بقوله أو بجنسه، أو بيع أحد النقدين بجنسه كذهب بذهب أو فضة بفضة كذلك، أي نسيئة أي لأجل. Okay, so it's not translated wrong, but it's not translated well. Actually, not even where I was looking. The first sentence here is what says in Arabic is not translated very well in English. I say, but it's fine for now. Though. So the paragraph before. وهو أنواع منها الربا القرض. سبحان الله. بارك الله فيك. Yeah. ومنها بيع أحد النقدين الذهب والفضة بالآخر نسيئة أي لأجل وإن قصر، وهو ربا النساء، كأن يقول بعتك هذا الدينار ب10 دراهم على أن أسلمك إياه بعد ساعة. Yeah. So it's not in the Arabic what I was looking for, which is riba nasa is a condition, not exchanging. It's not the lack of exchanging. It's the condition to not exchange. So the way it's worded here. Among the various types of riba is trading one of the two precious metals, i.e. gold and silver, for the other on a deferred payment. That's what it says in the Arabic. But something's missing. So it should say under the condition of a deferred payment, i.e. to postpone payment, meaning the condition to postpone payment. That's what's intended here. even for a short period. This is known as riba nasa. For example, one would say to another, I will sell you this gold dinar for 10 silver dirhams on the condition that's correct, right there, that I deliver it to you in an hour. There's a difference between the condition and actually doing it. The condition alone is enough to make you fall into riba, even if you actually exchanged on the spot. Now I want to see what's in Bughi. Okay, so here's Shaykh's explanation. Says all of what he says here. He says, riba, that's not loan, that's not usury on a loan or interest on a loan. It's three types. One of them is riba al-fadl. It's not the one we're talking about. The second one is riba al-yad, also not what we're talking about. The third is riba al-nasa. It's the one we're talking about. It's the fatha on the noon, not nisa. Nasa, nisa means women. Nasa, a ta'jil, meaning delay. Here, he says, so he says what's in the Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy first. And then he says, A, meaning, and yushtarata dhalika lafzan, meaning that this is verbally made a condition. So that's what riba nasa is, the condition. Okay. So, among the various types of riba is trading one of the two precious metals, yani trading bullion for bullion, i.e., making the condition one for the other with the condition of a deferred payment, i.e., to postpone payment, to make a condition to postpone the payment, even for a short period. So that's one type. He says, or making the sale. So, in other words, means what? If you want to exchange one type of bullion for the other, gold for gold, silver for silver, gold for silver, silver for gold, then there can't be any condition to delay the payment. So don't mix this one with the other type of riba, which is delaying the payment. Actually, you can't delay the payment actually, and you can't make a condition to delay the payment also. Those are two different types of riba. If you make the condition and you delay the payment, you fell into two types of riba. Or making the sale without exchanging the aforementioned goods before parting. This is exchanging, this is delaying payment. This is the case of delaying the payment, which means that both or even one of the transactors leaves the place of the sale without taking possession of their respective commodity. The gold that he's buying from the other one, or the silver he's buying from the other one, buy his gold or silver that he's paying. This is called riba al-yad. Yad means hand. This is the riba that happens because of not exchanging. So remember, when it comes to sales, remember the importance of the session itself. The session is an important aspect. The session itself is an important aspect of the deal. I'm saying deal, not sale. Deal is broader than sale. You do a sale, the session is important. When you part ways, you have concluded your session. If you're dealing with bullion on both sides and you part ways without both sides taking the bullion, without both of them exchanging before they part ways, then this is riba. To give you a broader idea of this parting ways, if you're in a room, a big room, and you came with your suitcase, he came with his suitcase. So you both sat down at the table, you both clicked your suitcases open, exposing your gold and silver that you want to exchange. So let's say he pushed his suitcase over to you for you to take it. and you didn't push your suitcase over to him yet, but you did get out of your chair and you walked around there in the room, and he sat right there in his chair without walking around. This is not yet, well, if it's a small room, for sure, it's not yet parting ways. If it's a big room, actually, it could be if you go too far. If you go far enough away from him in a way that it gives the feel of breaking the sale or of concluding the contract, then you will have concluded the contract by going so far away from him. So, yeah, if you're in a small room together and you're both walking around in that room, etc., you haven't both exchanged yet and then left each other, then there's no problem yet. You said concluding, yeah, you will conclude the session. Means breaking it, it means finishing it. Finishing it. So if you concluded it without exchanging, in a case where you have to exchange, then you're going to really be breaking it. The author says here, just as riba may occur in exchanges of two different kinds of precious metals, it also occurs within the same kind. And this is what the author mentioned when he said, it is also riba if they were of the same kind of precious currency. Yani, the same kind of bullion. I think the word bullion was slipping us for a long time. That's why we're not finding it. But this is where it goes. Because other things are precious too. There's other precious metals besides bullion, and there's other precious materials besides bullion, such as diamonds, rubies, pearls, platinum, and other things like that. It is also riba if they were the same kind of bullion, namely gold for gold or silver for silver, and were traded in the above manner, i.e., on a deferred payment term. Yes, this sentence here means condition. Here, they said on a deferred payment, on a deferred payment. So they're using the word on. I think that's what's. If this sentence works, this word on here is what's giving the meaning of condition. But probably should say the word condition. Or separating without exchanging goods. So, with a condition of deferred payment, that's riba nasa. Or separating without exchanging goods, that's riba al-yad. There's still a third type. Or with inequality between the two commodities in weight, such as trading one gold dinar for two. Maybe you should say golden dinar for two dinars, or trading one silver dirham for two. Saying gold and silver here, that's for clarity. Dinar is gold. You don't have to say golden dinar. It is gold. That's dinar. The dinar is the golden coin. Dirham is the silver coin. You know, the Americans came out with a golden coin, the golden dollar, but it's so impure though. Maybe it's just enough gold in there to make it yellow. That's it. We're trading one silver dirham for two. The same three prohibitions. So let me back up and reread this here. It is also riba if they were the same kind of bullion, gold for gold or silver for silver, and were traded in the above manner with a condition of delay, even if they don't really delay, or departing without exchanging, or with inequality between the two commodities in weight. Here's the third one now being introduced. Because now we're talking about it's one kind for the same kind. When it's gold for gold or silver for silver, they have to be equal in measure on both sides. If it's just gold for silver or silver for gold, or even if it is gold for gold or silver for silver, also has to be clear of any condition of delay and must be exchanged in the same session. But when it's the same kind on both sides, it also has to have equal measure on both sides with certainty, such as trading one golden dinar for two, or trading one silver dirham for two. That's riba. That's called riba al-fadl, the riba of excess. The same three prohibitions: postponement, separation before taking possession, whether the traded items were the same or different kinds, and inequality between the commodities that belong to the same kind, applies to trading foodstuff for foodstuff. There's a problem here though. Now, if you read the bold alone, it works. The same applies, meaning you have an S here on applies because same is singular. But when you add the explanation in between, you say the same three prohibitions with an S, and that means down here, apply needs to only have a Y. So it should say the same three prohibitions apply to trading foodstuff for foodstuff, which is food that is usually sought by people for consumption. Like not dog food, for example, people don't seek that for consumption. Not bones, people don't seek that for consumption. Not live animals, people don't seek that for consumption. None of that is food. Therefore, it is not permissible to sell one for the other when they are of different kinds, like barley and wheat, unless two conditions are met. No payment postponement, yani no condition of payment postponement, and no separation of the seller or buyer, i.e., by leaving the sales session without exchanging of the sold commodities. Here, you want to say of here, then say exchange. Without exchange of the sold commodities. If you want to say exchanging here, then take off of. Without exchanging the sold commodities. In the case that both commodities are of the same kind, such as wheat for wheat, the same two conditions are set. In the case of both commodities, in the case that both commodities are of the same kind, such as wheat for wheat, it's like we said about gold for gold or silver for silver, the same two conditions are set, along with a third condition, which is equivalence, equal measure on both sides, i.e., absence of any discrepancy in measurements. And measurements here means weight or volume, weight or volume, weight or volume, not count, not length, weight or volume. So if you're selling one type of food for the other type of food, they have to, if you're selling one type of food for the same type of food, they have to have the same measure on both sides. If they're measured by weight, then they have to have the same weight on both sides. And if they're measured by volume, yani by container, like the size of the container, then they have to be the same measure on both sides. If it's not a type of food for the same type of food, then it's not a condition that they have the same measure on both sides, but it's still a condition to exchange at the same time and not to have any condition to delay. So maybe you don't see that a lot if you live in a society that uses some system of currency. But if you live in a society that barters, what's meant by barter here is anyone who has something can exchange it for something else. Swapping. Bartering is swapping. But that's still selling though. Really, the religious bay'ah is bartering because these rules are not restricted to or not based on uh, some particular type of currency. It's basically like anything that's money is currency. And that's how a lot of people don't think like that. Who's going to fall into this? Some people who their system, their culture or custom or circumstance is bartering with the meaning of not using standard currency. And that's going to be, in so many cases, prisoners, because they don't have access to actual currency. So what do they have access to? Food and clothing and some commodities like soap and tobacco, which is probably their highest money. Tobacco, their highest money, not including illegal substances. So they're going to be exchanging food for food. In so many cases, they're going to be doing that not in the same session. Like uh, they're in the mess hall where they eat, and one prisoner has something the other one wants. So he says to him, "Oh, give me that right there on your tray. I'll give you such and such later when we get back to the block." So if he gives him that, that's riba, a major sin right there. Exchanging food for food without that being in the same session. Or they would say, sell me this bag of chips and I'll pay you back next week 2 bags of chips. So now they got 2 ribas right there. They got actually all of 3 because they have the condition to delay. They agreed to the condition to delay. And they actually delayed because one side gave his and the other didn't give his. And and for one kind, for the same kind, without equality on both sides. How would one make the deal correct? Such as to say, you could just say, sell me this for how much you want, not food though. If you can't pay now, say, I'll sell it to you for such and such. Yani, I'll tell you really what needs to do. What needs to do, especially if they're Muslims, is tell them, you can't sell like this, brother. This is riba, it's haram, major sin. You're consuming a lot of haram. You can't do it this way. That's what really needs to do if he's Muslim. And then get his proofs too if he needs them. Because maybe he doesn't want to accept that he can't sell this way. So what can he do? He can, for example, loan to me the food, loan the food to me. That's valid. Then he has to pay him back. Now he can't pay him back. He can't agree to pay him back with excess though, because you can't profit from a loan. You could just pay back what you owe. So he says, loan it to me, and doesn't put any haram invalid condition there, like loan it to me, I'll pay you back too next time. Just loan it to me. That automatically means I have to pay you back. And you're not going to get the same one back, of course. If someone said, loan me $100, you're not going to get the same $100 back, right? So, of course, if you loan him the food, you're not going to get the same exact food back because he's going to eat it. So you loan it to him. That's valid. And then he comes back with another bag of chips and he says, remember you loaned me that? How about I give you this one for what I owe you? You accept? So you say, yeah, that's cool. I accept. Then this is valid. Or maybe some other ways that all what it means is you have to word your contract in a way that's valid. You might be able to come up with 2 or 3 different ways to get around all sorts of contracts. You just need to learn about the contracts and how they function so that you can maneuver. And then when somebody wants to do a deal invalidly, then you can just get him out of that invalid deal if he wants to deal with you. Tell him, no, let's do it this way. If he insists, then khalas, don't deal with him. Say, no, I'm only going to do it in this haram invalid way. And I won't change my mind. Then say, all right, I can't do business with you then. And that's it. If you have any question I can answer, that's the end of what the Shaykh wanted to say about riba. Now he wants to start talking about some more general rules pertaining to deals. So we'll save that for next week, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Amin wa fikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
That what you just said told me. If one coming to the butcher, does it still apply to the one coming to the butcher? You buy from the butcher every single week. Then one day he come in and ask the butcher, he don't have the money right now. Can he let him loan the food that he's gonna buy like he always do?
Yeah, or you can just buy it on credit, because now we're not talking about exchanging food for food, unless you pay your butcher with food, yani the person you're asking about. Unless the person in your question pays his butcher with food, then there's no issue here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Amin wa fikum. Alhamdulillah, it's my pleasure. I'm glad it was a nice lesson. This is one of those ones that wasn't sure how it was coming out. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك